I'm Nick, and today, in partnership with Scribe, we're going to see how making instructional guides is much easier than you expected. Scribe works with SSO integration, so your team can connect to it directly just like any other platform in your stack. And for me, that means I can work with my teammates to make sure that workflows are documented, so when somebody's out of the office or even leaves the team, that work doesn't stop. In my career, I've been that person sitting there waiting for somebody else to configure user accounts while work is delayed. And I've been on the other side of that, feeling like a gatekeeper holding up the rest of the team. But the truth is, many of these requests could be handled by anybody on the team if they had the right documentation. And making that documentation is a lot easier than you think. Over 80,000 companies, including almost half of the Fortune 500, are using Scribe to share and preserve mission-critical workflows. So let's see how it works. Once you're signed into your Scribe team account, you could download the desktop application, which will let you make a guide from any application on your computer. Or if you're documenting a task that happens entirely in your browser, you can choose Browser, or just click Capture a Scribe. The first time you do this, it prompts you to install a browser extension, which works in Chrome and Microsoft Edge. Once that's installed, you can open the Extensions menu and pin the Scribe extension. So now there's a button in your browser for Scribe. From there, anybody in your org can capture a guide directly from their browser. So the next time someone needs to handle a specialized workflow, the documentation gets created as they work. No separate process, no extra time. Here's a quick example. Since I'm the Microsoft administrator on my team, one of my teammates asked me to update their account and change their time zone. But they don't actually need me to do that. Users can make that change in their own account. They just need some basic instructions. When you click the Scribe extension, it opens the Scribe panel. They call this the sidekick. And from here, you can click Start Capture and just go through the process that you want in the guide. Basically, every time I click, it captures a snapshot of my browser window and spotlights where I clicked. I can see each of those steps as they're saved. And when I'm finished, I'll click Complete Capture. It instantly gives me the guide, and at the top, I see the AI has already set a title, a description, and even an icon based on what was captured. Each step of the workflow is here, including a click target on each step, showing exactly where I clicked. Each individual guide is called a scribe. Anybody using this scribe has a clear step-by-step workflow they can follow. It took about 15 seconds to make this, exactly the same amount of time it took me to go through the actual workflow. And that's all you're going to need from most scribes, but there are a lot of other options if you need them. I'm ready to make a guide here from Microsoft Admin Workflow, but there are a bunch of email addresses on this page that I don't want to appear in the guide. Scribe has 3 different ways to redact information. First, if you are working in an enterprise team, your team can set rules so that certain types of information will be automatically redacted in every scribe. And for teams that are in regulated industries, Scribe is SOC 2 Type 2 certified and compliant with GDPR, HIPAA, and FERPA. So security and compliance are already built in. But let's say you didn't have that set up. When you start a capture, there's a button for Smart Blur. I'd like it to blur any email addresses, but you can also set it to blur numbers, names, or images. And now those email addresses are completely blurred out. We'll see another option for redactions in a moment, but next, before I start the workflow, I also want to enable voice transcription. Using your voice, you can add more instruction as you go. Just make sure you finish speaking before you click on each next step. With that turned on, I'll go through the workflow and narrate as I go. Open the Copilot category from the navigation panel. Go to Settings. Switch to the View All tab. Find and click on Copilot Frontier. And when I'm finished, I'll end the capture. So now I have a new scribe that has all of the email addresses blurred, and it has a transcription of what I said for each step. Now let's talk about making changes. Right after you capture a scribe, it lands in the edit mode. You can click Done Editing, or from here, you can click the Edit button to go back into editing. You could change the title, description, or icon that were set by the AI. These look pretty solid, but I will change the website address that we see here in step 1. I can just click on that and make the change, so we have the shorter address. And if you need to clean up the transcript, that works the same. Now, what about information that you need to add that was not automatically captured? Well, above any step, you can click the plus button. You can add a new capture, a new step, an alert, or a tip. I'll add an alert that says this guide is only for people with a Microsoft Administrator account. You can point at any step on the guide, then delete it or duplicate it. You can zoom in or out on the captured image or move it around to center it in the right area. And you can move the click targets or change the color of those targets. Your team can even set a default color palette so that all of the click targets use your company's colors. There's also an edit button on each image capture, so you can add annotations like text boxes or arrows. You can change the image crop or even swap it out for a different image. But also, remember, I said that there was another way to redact information. If you did not use the automatic blur that we saw a moment ago, you can manually redact something later. I'll just redact my name on this image, then click Done. So if you do need to make changes, those changes are fast. And there's one more thing worth calling out. There's a feature called Improve Workflows. Using AI, it analyzes the workflow and gives you an efficiency score, plus suggestions for making actual processes faster or less manual. For example, it might flag steps you could automate or redundancies you could cut. You can click Show Me How on any suggestion to get step-by-step guidance, or you can save it to your task list to come back to later. Now, every scribe you capture is instantly saved to your account. And if you're in an enterprise team, you do have the option to move a scribe between your own private workspace and the team workspace. But I'll leave this in my team's workspace. My teammates can instantly access new scribes that are in that shared space. Or they can edit them, so collaboration is built in. As you're editing a scribe, you can add comments to any step. You can simply add a note, or you can type the @ symbol, then choose somebody from your team to direct that comment to them. I need Ava's input on this step. And now Ava will see a notification about this comment the next time she goes to the Scribe website or opens the Scribe Sidekick. When you finish editing, make sure you click the Publish button so the updated version will be ready to share. And whenever you have a guide open in Scribe, you can quickly share it with somebody using their email address, or just copy a link and send that. But make sure you set the sharing permissions, depending on whether you want the link to only work for people in your organization or if you want it to work for anybody. And you can choose to send each scribe as a scrolling page, as a movie, or as a slide deck before you share it. Alternatively, you can flip over to the Export tab and simply convert the scribe to a PDF, Word document, or HTML page. Or you might use the Embed option. Many productivity and content management tools, like Notion, SharePoint, and Confluence, have the option to add an iframe embed on a page. So you can copy the embed code, then in SharePoint, Notion, or wherever, you can set an embed component and paste that link to add the scribe directly to the page. So I can send or share these guides to anybody in my company or outside of the company. But I think the slickest way to use a scribe is with that browser extension that we installed at the beginning. With the Scribe extension, any member of my team can open the Sidekick and use the search field to search through the scribes in our shared library. But even better than that, let's say somebody goes to the Microsoft 365 website and they open the Sidekick there. Instantly, they see all of the scribes from their team that relate to this site. They can choose a scribe to see the step-by-step guide. And they can even click Guide Me at the top of the Sidekick. That turns the guide into a live interactive walkthrough, taking them through the process right inside of the actual tool. No switching back and forth. So now my team has this library of scribes that we've been building. I've started to organize them, so we've got folders for different types of tasks. My teammates are adding their own scribes, and we can organize them and work together. And if you have several individual scribes on a similar topic, you can organize them together on a page. I'll make a new page, I'll give it a title, and then I can add a block of text, followed by a link to one of those scribes. Then another block of text, and a link to another scribe. You can get more creative with your content and layout, but for me, this will be the master page where my teammates can find everything they need about making Copilot agents. Of course, you can share these pages or embed them into your CMS, as we saw before. So now, whenever I get a request from somebody asking me to change a setting in their account or asking how something works, I do a quick process in my head. First, do I already have a scribe for that? And if I do, I can share that scribe with them or remind them where they can find it in the team library. And if I don't already have a guide for it, my next thought is this a repeatable process that's worth documenting? If it is, I'll capture it as I go, send it to the person who sent the request, and make sure it's sorted into the library for the rest of the team. But that's just how I'm using it. Every team or company has different needs for documentation or training guides. You can click the link below or visit scribe.how/Kevin to book a personalized enterprise demo, and they can walk you through solutions for your specific scenario.